are going to prove that it's classified. I'm sure it was classified at one point, but, you know, we've never litigated this before. There's going to be a real question of fact here about, you know, whether President Trump declassified it or not when he still had the power to do that.
So, Greg, I think the beef everybody has with this is there's a hierarchy here. It's not hypocrisy. It's a hierarchy for the left. You have the Hillary Clinton case, where remember when she said there was a C on the document and she played stupid and she didn't know what it meant?
That's right.
Remember that? She goes, oh, I didn't know what the C. What did it mean? Did it mean Clearwater, Florida? Like she had no idea. And yet Trump, we get a raid at his house.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, the thing is, we should do a show just called "We Don't Know." And just that way we don't have to keep that way.
What we're doing,
thank you for telegraphing my joke.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. No, but we have to start everything with like we don't know. But what we do know is that, and this is a case where the double standard whataboutism works. The Hillary server was far more sensitive than this because it was real-time communication on a server in a bathroom from our Secretary of State while she was communicating with Russia, and then somehow it ends up on Anthony Weiner's laptop, among other things, which then he used to surf the web for God knows what. That somehow just kind of slid on by. Then you got to think about Afghanistan. I don't know enough. I don't know. But what about all that stuff left behind in Afghanistan? Was none of that? Was some of that classified? We left it with our worst enemy, and that isn't Trump, Jessica. It's the Taliban. But the fact is, I mean, consider the tech and all those helicopters, right? There were documents, there were computers. Maybe a lot of it was destroyed. Maybe some of it wasn't. There was like $7 billion worth of gear that we do know that pullout, we do know this, was not conducted well. So I really don't know how much classified material was lost then. So I think that in this case, the whataboutism is thoroughly valid because it's the context that makes this so laughable. The 12 boxes of what is related to something that might be nuclear. What does that mean? Was it a note to Kim Jong-un saying, hey, had a great time?
Yeah.
You know?
Dana, when people say to me, that's whataboutism, I say, you're damn right it's whataboutism. Well, I don't understand like how that's an argument.
Yeah.
So I'm making a case that the standards of so-called justice apply to one party and not another, and your argument is, yes, that's correct, and you should just eat it? Like, no, I'm not going to eat it.
I always would try to imagine, remember that I don't necessarily, the Hillary Clinton comparison is a good one. I forgot about when she didn't know what the letter C meant. But the Sandy Berger one for me, you're in the middle of the 9/11 Commission. You have the National Security Advisor for the Clintons go to the archives, do some research, stuff some documents in his pants and his socks, walk out, and ends up with probation and a fine. Yeah. And his house never raided. Now, maybe because he was cooperating, I don't know. The other thing I think is, I'm going to make two other points. Let's say it is a nuclear document. First of all, well, let me make 2 points. I had SCI clearance. You probably did too, right?
Yeah,
okay.
yes,
so when you go to an SCI briefing, there's not like paperwork passed out. If there is, it's collected, and everyone takes it back. I don't know how you would even have an SCI document to put in a box. I don't understand that. And also, if it is something to do with nuclear stuff, why would that be declassified? Like, what is it? Like, is it the letter that says, hey, that was, like, great time, I hope you don't set off any more missiles?
Yeah, please don't send missiles.
That would be rude. Don't do that, little rocket man. And if you don't do it, I'll stop calling you that.
Exactly.
Something like that. Like, okay, so I can understand declassifying that. That would be fine. But if it's something else, and here's the other thing. We may never know. The last point I will make is the Presidential Records Act came in after Watergate. Then we have this invention called email and the internet.
That's right.
And whereas you used to have maybe tens of thousands of documents, you now have tens of millions of documents. It's all the emails. It's everything that you ever did while you were there. All your text messages, now those are presidential documents. And what Andy was saying is that we've never litigated this. If a president declassifies something on nuclear weapons or capabilities or resources or locations, he can do that. But also there's a process that it's never been tested in courts. Does the CIA director get a say? Do our allies get a say? Anything like that? None of that has been tested yet.
Which is why we shouldn't have jumped the gun. But Jess, the whataboutism argument, yes, that's correct. It's absolutely whataboutism. What I don't understand is how people on the left, Democrats and liberals, don't see it through our eyes. Like, I can see your argument. You don't like that Trump may have taken classified documents. Fine. There's a process for that. I get it. How do you not see that Hillary Clinton literally didn't even have in
time talking to people who don't share our own worldview? but I did miss the part of American history where Hillary Clinton was president of the United States of America after she had, sent classified information on a private server and went on to, a beautiful 4-year term and whatever else. She lost the election because of an FBI investigation. 11 days before a presidential election, Jim Comey, as the head of the FBI, came out and said that they had reopened a years-long investigation because there was new information that ended up being a dud. And then he had to come out and he had to say that. And then he's had to eat, you know what, for the last 6 years, because everybody hates him because he did that, because he violated protocol coming out and commenting on an ongoing FBI investigation, which, by the way, Christopher Wray, a Trump appointee, and Merrick Garland both did not do until their hands were forced by Donald Trump, who was the one who said, hey, Mar-a-Lago was raided this morning, I want to talk about it. Hillary Clinton has been investigated by the FBI, by the Senate, Republican-run Senate committee, who both found that her server was never hacked by a foreign entity. And the FBI, don't go,
I actually have a source on that, so.
Okay, I have a source, every Senate Republican who would have loved. Well, then why did Senate Republicans, who I would say on the list of things that they hate, have Hillary Clinton way up high, not have said that out loud if that's what they found? So
they coddled her like a baby. And they interviewed her with her attorneys, president, who were co-conspirators long after the original Comey statement. And her answers were so ridiculous, she should have been charged with making false statements. And a reminder, Martha Stewart went to prison for 5 months for doing that very thing. There's only one thing that matters in this. What you got? Give it to me. Yeah. It better be big, supersized, like Jupiter-sized information for you to crush a standard that stood in this country for more than 2 centuries, more than 230 years. And I understand that the left, that Democrats don't like Trump, but I don't understand how you aren't more upset about an FBI run by Chris Wray and a Justice Department run by Merrick Garland that defrauded and deceived all American people with the Russia collusion fraud, the dossier, lying repeatedly to spy on an American citizen. When the FISA court itself, the chief judge called out the FBI's malfeasance, that the Horowitz, the Inspector General at the Justice Department, called out the FBI's malfeasance. All Merrick Garland, you know what, put up or shut up. If you found something, charge the president. Now, he could pull a Jim Comey. He doesn't have the authority to do it, but technically he does have the power to do it. When evidence seized remains sealed until it's introduced as part of a criminal proceeding, but he could step up and say, this is what we got. This is what we got on Trump. That's all that matters in all of this. And they won't do it because, again, they're looking for January 6th.
Let me just say I didn't close.